So in cinematography, it seems like a lot of us nowadays started with like a little budget camera, a little budget light, and suddenly one day we blossom into the indie filmmakers that we are today, hoping to be in Hollywood. But what happens if you give an indie filmmaker a Hollywood budget? This is what happens. So as I've been growing as a cinematographer, I felt like I hit this plateau at one point of like, I'm only working with a 300D in a softbox. And then that mindset kind of limited me as I started to break through and get to a little bit bigger projects as I grew and scaled. But I think that what helped me is seeing bigger setups, seeing larger things done that are way above my pay grade to where I can be like, oh, there's a whole other world out there. Something like what's going on behind me. This wouldn't be perfect without the master Shane Hurlbut. He's an absolute amazing master of his craft right now. And well, we're doing, what are we doing?
Well, we're doing a major night exterior masterclass. I've found that so many directors come to me and I'm like, you know, when I submit my reel, they go, the first thing they go for is the night work. And if the night work is not that good, they just move on to the next DP. So you can always tell a good DP from a great DP based on their night work. So I thought with that, why not share this knowledge, share everything that I've learned over 35 plus years, because I'm still mastering my craft. This is something that as new light technology comes out, I'm constantly challenging myself and trying new things.
Interesting to see, like, you're a master 35 years and he's still learning. So it's fun. And then he's bringing the education to all of us as well.
Absolutely.
Right. So here's the shot that Shane has fabricated. It's this long dolly shot where we've got the crane raking across the whole driveway. And it's just a little pan movement. That's all it is. But it's the length of it that exposes the entire scene is what makes it so magical. So the Filmmaker Academy Masterclass of Nighttime Exteriors is taking place. We're underway. But we're on the pre-light day. This is how Shane is lighting this entire like quarter-mile span. He's got 4 Nanlux 2400s on this big 120-foot condor, and they've got this all rigged out, and this took a couple of hours to do. It took a lot of bodies to do, so of course it's an expensive thing to do. You told me with your 4-light 2400s that are up there, you feather it up to just feather like rake across the entire set.
What we did is we put the 60s at the bottom and the 45s at the top. So the 45s are driving higher up and the 60s are doing more on the bottom.
Just local stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. When you're running big lighting setups and big lights high up there, you got to keep in mind power as well. So this is the source of all the power. There's another one way down there, but this is all battery powered tow plant. There's no gas involved at all. It's just all electric or battery, whatever. So that comes out of here. We run line all the way to smaller boxes, these distro boxes that eventually take that and run Bates line down to lunch boxes, and then lunch boxes are what take the outlets, like house outlets. So there's a big funnel of power that goes through all of these sets. So when you're running all of these big lights, it's something to take into consideration, because you're not just paying for the lights and the rigging to do that. Electricians need to run all of this, and they need to run all this line, so that costs more money, more labor hours, more people. So it's just another cherry on top of all the bodies and people and money that are needed for these huge sets to build these huge scenes. So behind me is what we've got on most of my indie sets until I wake up. It's a Scorpio 45. This is what you would see on like a lot of Hollywood productions. It's got this whole crane that can boom out, it can jib, it can twist, it can roll, it can do a backflip, it can do all the things. But this is what the kit, it follows you too, apparently. So it's the Venice 2. There were like 3 Venices and a bunch of Buranos all scattered throughout the set. I don't know, I couldn't keep count, but Shane went crazy with him and his team, building out all of these to execute the perfect build that he had in mind for whatever the job was, all using Condor Blue. And then when it came to media, we used Angelbird on all of these cameras with the Angelbird cards, just because of their read and write speed just being fast enough to be able to perform fast enough with the Venice and Burano. On the wheels, you can control your pan, your tilt, even your roll, and Brittany's been upping on that. Do you think this is a lot smoother than like a gimbal joystick?
Oh yeah, this is.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like
perfection.
People are like, oh, well, y'all can use sticks and a nice tripod head, but like, first of all, this is very, it's like diverse. It's a lot of, you can use it with a Scorpio head. You can use it with like, you know, more cinema devices that you can't just do like sticks with. And so I think that's what this is for, like to be able to get, like we're gonna like put this, I think like, all right, 20 feet maybe in the air or 50 or so. So like you can't a tripod can't do that. Certain things that we normally could use can't do that. So just learning that there's other devices out there that you know need to learn for as you increase and grow in your filmmaking.
This thing on, sound check. Does it sound good? Okay, because it better sound good. It's the Hollyland Lark. I've been recording all the mic on this. This is an ad, but Hollyland's been such a supporter of this whole film, the transmission and stuff like that, and the mic as well. So I've been using the mics. It's normally not in my hand like this. Normally I'm just clipping it with a magnet like that. There's some good ASMR for you. But shout out to all the good audio via Hollyland. So I hope you guys have a good day. I'm gonna get back to work. So an alternative of, instead of shooting a huge big wide exterior that you can't afford to light, is change your shot. Maybe go in a smaller space to establish your wide, a smaller area or a more narrow lens or a more narrow shot where you don't have to fake that this whole scene is lit up. Or you can go somewhere that's already got existing practicals that work for you, aka street lights, house lights, turn on the garage lights to get some spill over there, turn on some street lights over here, and then work with existing practicals instead of just having to work completely with scratch and rig up lights into big condors.
Bounce up and we'll be ready to go.
You did good. Looks shitty, just like you said.
Yeah, it's got to look like shit. We need to force all you bastards to actually shoot Hollywood.
You gotta force all the people with money to give me money.
No, you got plenty of money. You just don't put it in the right places.
You hear that? Sure. Yeah. When on lower budget like India stuff, we're banking a lot more on practicals and like existing fixtures. I mean, these we did add, but like,
yeah.
Instead of just trying to force a huge source from the sky, it's like little pockets and pools of like.
No, I would have shot this
here.
shot at 6:15, where you still could have that ambient,
that
so it would have silhouetted all the trees and everything. But we were over here shooting a tent shot.
In a perfect world, if you want an indie budget, would you do something different with this? What would you do?
I wouldn't take the job.
You hear that, guys? Don't take the job.
I mean, I did. You know, when I did 1114, it was like a $500,000 budget. So it's like you don't get yourself in situations where you just can't deliver, or you make it look more raw. You know, blood simple, where everything just falls off into darkness.
Another thing about night scenes is, especially on like a lower budget level, is you want to get as much light as you can. So with these IRIX lenses being like a T1.5, they're fast. They're very fast, meaning they're very bright. So you can suck in as much ambience as there is in the scene.
We are getting a shot of the car coming through the fence, coming to the house. And so we have the 65mm, the IRIX 65mm, which is one of their newer focal lengths. I love those odd number lenses that a lot of people don't use because people use like the 35s and the 50s and the 85s. But being able to play with the new IRIX 65, it's a fast lens, it's a 1.5. And right now we're actually open, so because it is dark. So we're already open at the 1.5, which gives you the most character. So I'm super excited to play with it. It's a really nice shot.
Now point it, lamp left and back. Pan it left, pan left.
No, pan right. I want to aim it at camera.
Okay. All right, so tilt it down toward camera.
Shane's methodology is creating depth, like as much depth as he can into his big open space at night possible. So he's changing the motivation for his units. It's not just all moonlight. He's throwing some urban sources and some other things going on there. It's so interesting once you get on projects like this. You see how dialed in every single person is. Even like they've just got their routines that are down to like, I don't know, the fraction of a second of efficiency. Like the gaffer's got the laser pointer saying exactly where to place the light. So instead of saying like, oh, a little left, a little right, it's like looking at the monitor, put it right there. It's just like all these little intricacies where you can see that everybody in this industry is so professional and dialed in. It's really like there's no seconds to spare. This is why you don't do indie, because on big budget stuff, you have fucking heaters. And it's 40 degrees outside.
Indie doesn't have duvetine, they don't have lights, they don't have camera. They just exist in their mind.
And that's why we're so great.
Okay.
I'm getting the feeling that Shane hates us right now.
No, not at all.
So in terms of quality, are you going to keep this water on or
Yes.
Yeah. Because we can always bring that in, and that will really help soften your shadows here because it's so far away.
I like what you're talking about. I mean, the big thing that I loved what Brendan brought up, Tom, and I don't know, Can we do a tickle of moonlight?
Everything is just bigger. Like in comparison, it's like typically I would pull like a panel or like a point source or something small, but it's always like a large dyno or a large fixture or a large unit just placed further. You never think to just take a little tube or take a little something. It's always let's take a whole nother unit and do it right. And it's really cool to see because everything is just done right, even if it takes a little bit more time. So the shot's taken a lot of bodies. We've got Brittany operating. She's actually operating the pan, the tilt, the roll, and all that. From this control center here, watching that monitor, and then it's your first is pulling the focus on that monitor, and then you've got the crane op as well. So there's a lot of bodies just to execute that one shot. That is a very like tactile move, going across the whole car, across the whole railing and way out, which is honestly freaking sweet. So instead of a Ronin trucking along like that, you got this setup. When it comes to the interiors like we're shooting right now, it's daytime, so we're shooting day for night, which is why we've got this tent here. I was talking to Shane and I was like, is this, you know, equivalent of what you're shooting on your big movies? And he's like, yeah, this is like $80 million movies. I would shoot something like this. And it's just this tube here, like a Leco inside off the ceiling and like a little hot source. So it's like, there's a lot of similarities when it comes to like the smaller shots to the smaller budgets that we do with like indie stuff. Really, when it comes to bigger shots is where things really exponentially grow as far as budget and crew and anything that's required for it. Would you ever, because we come up to the eyes, would you put like a return or something so they get like an eye catch or anything, or do you want them just dark and just backlit?
I don't know. I want to see what the flare does to the lens because we haven't seen what those IRIX lenses do with the flare.
That's true. So it could just take off everything.
Could be a serendipity moment where it opens up the contrast enough. You know?
Yeah, that's true. Okay. I mean, you could put even like a rag, Muzz rag, but I mean, this is depends on how warm you want to reflect off that. But that one stays dark. I like it.
Almost feels like what you were saying, where we put just a light over camera just to give a little in their eyes
a little
when
something.
They're coming in, because the flare is not
or
as...
even if you wanted to go like I do it a lot like skip bouncy with like a little floor under since it's spookier.
Yeah.
Just like skip off something.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't, you know, because I want this to feel as really as night, dark as possible. So Tom, let's see if we could get a what do you want to...
Is this something that you would do into your level, or is this like the level of what you do? You do this all the time?
$85 million movie, we were tenting houses to stay on schedule. We had a kid that could not work nights. So these are all the type of things that you have to deal with, whether it's an indie budget or a Hollywood
the same punches that we roll with on indie stuff.
Exactly.
Honestly, even though like it's unlikely that a lot of us are getting on productions this size, at least all of the time, I think it's still important to understand, you know, the building blocks and the foundation of it. Like being able to see and learn from Shane on his high scale setups is so valuable, because even though we can't achieve this on this $1 million budget level or $1 million plus, whatever, we can still take what's going on and implement that into our own indie style size. So it's just taking those little factors and implementing them into your own indie style and just dumbing it down to, instead of like 20 by 20 bounces, you've got 4x4s or 8x8s. And it's just things that are still achievable in your own little language of what works for your film sets.
On three, we're all going to say lighting night exterior masterclass. All right, 3, 2, 1.
Lighting night exterior masterclass.